The death of Chris Cornell is still one of the strangest things that I've ever read about. And I remember when this happened, it was so shocking. So if you don't know who Chris Cornell was, he was the lead singer of the band Soundgarden and one of the most influential rock musicians of all time. Chris was born in 1964 in Seattle, Washington, and if you know the history of grunge music, Seattle is basically where grunge was born. And out of all the bands that came out of Seattle like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, Soundgarden was one of the biggest. You might know one of their biggest songs, Black Hole Sun, but they have so many hits, they're such a big band. But on May 18th, 2017, at the age of 52, Chris Cornell would take his own life in a hotel room. Just a few hours before Chris would be found dead in his hotel room, he played his final show in Detroit, Michigan. I'm going to play you a clip from his last performance now. At 12:15 a.m., just a few hours after that show ended, Chris Cornell's security guard kicked down the door to his hotel room and found a shocking scene. All of Chris's items were still there in the room, but Chris's body was found unconscious in the bathroom. I can't show you this full photograph because of how graphic it is, but you can find it online. It's really sad. But Chris was found with blood in his mouth and an exercise band wrapped around his neck. He had hung himself in his room. So apparently just shortly before his body was discovered, Chris had called his wife Vicky and she thought that he didn't sound like himself. Chris had been sober for a number of years, so Vicky felt like something was off in the way that he was speaking to her, so she requested that his bodyguard go check on him. So there have been a lot of conspiracy theories that have arisen about why this happened to Chris Cornell or things that he may have been involved with that may have led to his death. We can talk about that at another time, but we're strictly talking about, the facts of what happened right now. Now, in a bizarre twist, just 2 months after Chris Cornell took his own life, literally on Chris Cornell's, what would have been his 53rd birthday, lead singer of the band Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, also hanged himself. And in another strange twist, exactly 37 years ago to the day that Chris Cornell took his own life by hanging himself, lead singer of the band Joy Division, Ian Curtis, took his own life in his hotel room by hanging himself. So when the toxicology reports came back, I forgot to talk about this, Chris Cornell was found to have only been taking the medications that were prescribed to him. He hadn't taken any extra sorts of drugs. His wife and his family members blamed the Ativan that he was taking on his death, but still, nobody really knows exactly why he was talking in such a manner that night. But at the end of the day, RIP to Chris Cornell, you will be missed.